TV News Prime. Convention of All Progressive Congress returns Yelwata as national chairman. In business, female cobbler breaks barriers, turns setback into success. On the foreign scene, United States tasks G7 nations on Strait of Hormuz reopening. And in sport, Iran team honors strike victims before Nigeria friendly. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Qasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. And now the news in details. Professor Nantawe Yelwata has been returned as the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress (APC), while Surajuddin Basiru emerged as the party's national secretary. Their emergence followed the party's fourth elective national convention held at the Eagle Square in Abuja. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
The convention, themed Unity in Progress, Consolidating the Renewed Hope Agenda, was organized by the APC National Convention Central Coordinating Committee. The committee was chaired by former Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari, with Hope Uzodinma serving as treasurer and Ayim Pius Ayim as co-chairman. The All Progressive Congress adopted the consensus method in electing officials who will steer the affairs of the party for the next 4 years. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu commended party members for their loyalty and dedication and expressed confidence in the newly elected leadership.
You had testimony from beneficiaries of some of our programs. I assure you, many of you lamenting the problem of electricity, power. Yes, we are paying attention to that.
The chairman of the convention committee, Aminu Bello Masari, said the APC has continued to drive reforms aimed at positioning Nigeria on the path of sustainable progress.
Resolution of the existing Executive Council of our great party, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
In his acceptance speech, the re-elected national chairman, Professor Nantawe Yelwata, pledged to lead the party with vision, inclusiveness, reaffirming his commitment to advancing the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu.
The reform is working, and the Nigeria is moving. And those who share this vision and want to part of our party.
The newly elected officials were announced by the Convention Election Committee following broad consensus among party stakeholders. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
In related developments, President Bola Tinubu says the All Progressive Congress (APC) is still cleaning up what he describes as the years of economic mismanagement under the People's Democratic Party (PDP). The president made the remarks at the fourth elective national convention of the All Progressive Congress in Abuja. Again, Ubong Usoro reports.
It was a bold declaration from President Tinubu at the 4th Elective National Convention of the All Progressive Congress in Abuja, a clear message that his administration is focused on rebuilding an economy he says was badly damaged. The president pointed to targeted interventions across critical sectors as proofs that the APC is not just talking but delivering. From the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, driving support for small businesses, to the Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, enforcing transparency in the extractive sector, to the Rural Electrification Agency, extending power to underserved communities. The administration, he says, is laying a new economic foundation.
Democracy thrives on vibrant and healthy competition. but we cannot for the constitutional freedom of association.
President Tinubu also emphasized that his administration is committed to gender inclusion and will continue to create more opportunities for women. Speaking to Global Television, Olufumbi Olawaju, Deputy Director of Media at the Consolidated APC Grassroots Movement, stated that the APC policies are transforming Nigeria and stabilizing the economy.
I see through APC a Nigeria that works for me, for you, and for everybody, where merit is given credence, where merit is celebrated over mediocrity.
Tope Soya added that the president is taking nation building seriously, while Stephen Bamidele says the APC has learned to manage its issues effectively.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has been a wonderful president. He has been a president that has taken this stride of nation building, into a personal, business. And what he has done is visible for all Nigerians to see. I'm not going to say much. That is just my message.
Meanwhile, the party approved the continuation of caretaker committees in Ekiti and Osun states, a move seen as part of efforts to consolidate its structures ahead of future political contest. Ubong Osoro for Global Television News.
Bola Tinubu has taken a direct swipe at opposition parties, accusing them of deliberately misrepresenting the Electoral Act for political advantage, even as he reaffirmed his administration's commitment to democratic principles and credible elections. Speaking at the 4th Elective National Convention of the APC in Abuja, the president says the persistent attacks on the Electoral Act 2026 by opposition groups were misleading and harmful in the country's democratic development. According to him, the acts represent a collective national effort to strengthen electoral processes and should not be reduced to a tool for partisan rhetorics. The All Progressive Congress has dismissed as false and misleading reports circulating online about the cost of nomination forms for the 2027 general elections, including claims of extremely high fees for aspirants. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, says no decision has been made regarding the pricing or sales of forms, stressing that the information did not originate from the party. The APC has urged the public and media to disregard the report entirely and rely only on official communications to avoid misinformation. Still talking politics, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says the People's Democratic Party will surprise Nigerians in the 2027 elections by demonstrating its strength despite internal divisions. He confirms that the party's national convention scheduled for March 29 and March 30 will go ahead as planned, dismissing legal challenges and ongoing dispute as not strong enough to halt the process. Wike added that the reconciliation among aggrieved members remain a continuous effort that will extend beyond the convention as the party works to rebuild unity. Away from politics to security, where Defense Minister Christopher Musa has reaffirmed President Bola Tinubu's commitment to restoring peace and stability across Nigeria amidst persistent security challenges. He called on citizens to collaborate with security agencies, stressing that tackling insecurity requires a united national effort beyond government action alone. Musa assured Nigerians that the administration remains determined and will continue to intensify efforts to protect lives, properties, and national cohesion. In the meantime, troops of the Operation Joint Task Force, Operation Haɗin Kai, have defeated an ISWAP attack on FOB Mandagari in Borno, killing 38 terrorists and recovering weapons. Troops recovered 7 AK-47 rifles, 8 magazines and 4 RPG bombs and assaulted ammunition. The JTF recorded no fatalities though one MRAP vehicle was hit by RPG fire with injured personnel promptly stabilized. The statement noted further exploitation operations are currently ongoing along the Garin-Malum-Garin-Gajere axis to recover bodies and consolidate gains. Former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasiru El-Rufai has arrived at his Abuja residence after the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) granted him a temporary release on compassionate ground to enable him to attend the burial of his late mother, Hajia Umar El-Rufai. Hajia Umar El-Rufai died in Cairo, Egypt on Friday after a period of illness. El-Rufai's son, Bashir, confirmed his father's release in a post on his X handle. El-Rufai has been in the ICPC custody since February 18 over allegations bordering on financial misconduct and other related offences. He spent about a month with the commission before his arraignment earlier this week before the Kaduna Division of the Federal High Court. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, and Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani have condoled with former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai over the death of his mother Hajia Umar El-Rufai. The late Hajia Umar died after a brief illness, prompting the tribute that describes her as a woman of strong value, compassion, and influence. Tributes poured in from across the political space, with leaders describing her as a respected woman who embodied compassion, humility, and strong moral value while raising a family that contributed significantly to national development. The rare show of unity comes amid strained relationships among key political figures, highlighting a moment of shared humanity beyond politics. Let's now head to Ebonyi State, where a fire outbreak has destroyed vaccines, drugs, and critical health equipment worth millions of naira at the Ebonyi State Ministry of Health in Abakaliki. Authorities say the incident severely disrupted immunization operations after vital cold chain infrastructure, including refrigerators and vaccine storage systems, was completely lost. Officials confirmed no casualties, while investigations into the cause of the fire are ongoing amidst concerns over infrastructure and power supply challenges. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast, plus business forum and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
The northern parts of the country are expected to experience predominantly sunny conditions with clear skies and high temperatures prevailing across major northern cities. As you can see, Yola is expected to reach a maximum of 42 degrees Celsius by afternoon of Sunday. However, there are prospects of morning thunderstorms over parts of the central and the southern cities. States likely to be affected include Cross River, Akwa Ibom, the Federal Capital Territory, Southern Taraba, Southern Kaduna, Niger, and Nasarawa State. These thunderstorms are expected to occur in the early hours of the day and may be accompanied by brief gusty winds and localized rainfall. And as we advance into the afternoon and evening hours, thunderstorms are expected to become more widespread across the north-central region, as well as the southeast, the southwest, and the south-south. Isolated thunderstorms are also likely over parts of Taraba, southern Kebbi, southern Adamawa, and Kaduna State. And as the forecast, be weather aware. I am Akani Samarda.
Welcome back from that break, and now to business, where Dangote Petroleum Refinery has denied reports suggesting it is planning an initial public offering, describing the circulating information as speculative and unauthorized. The company says it has not made any official announcements regarding the stock market listing and warned that several online sources are spreading inaccurate claims. It They advise investors and the public to rely only on verified information from official channels, noting that any future decision will be properly communicated. The federal government and power generating companies have disagreed over the actual debt owed within Nigeria's electricity sector, with conflicting figures emerging from both sides. While the government estimates the liability at about 4 trillion naira, generator companies, GenCos, insist that reconciliation must involve all stakeholders and reflects previously agreed figures. The dispute highlights ongoing tensions within the power sector as authorities continue efforts to stabilize electricity supply and address financial challenges. Still talking business, a young entrepreneur in Owerri is challenging long-held stereotypes, proving that skills is not gender-defined and success in today's economy. From a pandemic setback to a growing business, her story is one of resilience and reinvention. Our correspondent Amarachi Ibe reports.
When the COVID-19 pandemic halted her academic journey in 2020, Gift Agowamba faced an uncertain future, but instead of waiting, she took action, stepping into shoemaking, a trade widely dominated by men. With limited tools and little support, she encountered doubt and resistance. Many questioned her choice. She, however, stayed focused, driven by a clear goal: financial independence. Her turning point came with her first pairs of sandals. The positive response not only validated her effort, but ignited a growing demand. Leveraging social media, she began taking orders, steadily building a loyal customer base and carving a niche for herself in the market. Today, what started as a surviving strategy has evolved into a thriving enterprise, meeting her needs and positioning her as a rising entrepreneur.
It was not easy for me, but I really thank God, because I didn't come from a rich family, so I'm trying to make sure that I make money for myself. So that was why I started this.
Despite the growth, challenges remain, from inaccurate customer measurements to erratic power supply. Production is often slow but not stopped. Through consistency, quality delivery, and strong customer relations, her business continues to expand, driven largely by referrals and repeat clients. By 2024, her brand recorded a major leap, attracting supply opportunities beyond her immediate environment, signaling a new phase of growth.
Get my house rent from here, my shop rents, anything that I want to do, like with money, I do them on my own without asking for help. So I think it's really working for me with this job. I thank God for everything.
Now, a business owner and a mentor, she's equipping others with the same skills that transform her life. Her story is more than personal success. It is a bold statement. In a changing Nigeria, barriers are breaking, stereotypes are fading, and young people are taking control. And in the hands of determined women like her, the future is not just being imagined, it is being built one step at a time. From Owerri, I'm Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TVD.
Now to the foreign scene, where some Nigerians in India have raised the alarm over what they described as increased racial profiling and brutalization by the Indian police. They lamented visa regularization challenges and high renewal fees, which they said had made life unbearable in the Asian country. Some of the residents who spoke alleged that some Nigerian students were physically assaulted, adding that reporting to the authorities had changed nothing. Senegal's government has distanced itself from the African Union's endorsement of former President Macky Sall for the position of United Nations Secretary General. Officials say the government was not consulted and has not formally supported the candidacy, revealing internal disagreements and diplomatic tensions. The development comes amid a broader global selection process to replace the current United Nations chief with multiple candidates in contention. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio says it is in the interest of all G7 nations to push for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, currently blocked by Iran. Speaking shortly before heading to France, where he will attend a meeting of G7 foreign ministers outside Paris, Rubio insisted that President Trump's decision regarding the situation in the Gulf nation serves the overall interest of the world. Our correspondent Uyi Agbonfuegbe completes the report.
It is Rubio's first trip abroad since the United States and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran on February 28. Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy and Japan, the other G7 members, have also signaled their hope for a diplomatic solution to the situation in Iran, which has rippled through the global economy due to the virtual closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Rubio, who skipped the first day of G7 talks on Thursday, said there is progress in talks with Iran, but refused to speculate on when or how they might end.
I think he just made an observation, and the observation is that the United States is constantly being asked to help in a war, and we have more than any other country in the world, on a war that's happening in another continent, in Ukraine. But when the U.S. had a need, he didn't get proper positive responses. So right now he's just making the observation that, I think it was a couple of the leaders in Europe who said that this was not Europe's war. Well, Ukraine is not America's war, and yet we've contributed more to that fight than any other country in the world. So it'll be something to examine. The president will have to take into account down the road.
Around a fifth of global crude oil and liquefied natural gas passes through the waterway in peacetime. U.S. President Donald Trump said at a cabinet meeting that Tehran is more keen to make a deal than he was, noting that the military operation was ahead of schedule, reiterating his criticism of NATO. At the same meeting, Rubio said Washington's allies should be grateful to Trump for undertaking the offensive led in coordination with Israel. France currently holds the rotating presidency of the G7. Uyi Agbonfuegbe reporting for Global TV News.
Indonesia begins enforcing social media ban for children under the age of 16 after the communications minister Mutia Hafid warned digital platforms there was no room for compromise. The Southeast Asian nation announced the ban this month, citing threats from online pornography, cyberbullying and internet addiction as concerns grow globally over the impact of social media on the well-being of children. Now to sports, where Iran's national team has paid tribute to victims of a deadly school strike by wearing black armbands before their friendly match against Nigeria. The attack reportedly killed over 170 people, including students and teachers, during the early days of the Middle East conflict. Iran has blamed the United States, while reports suggest that the strike may have been a result of a targeting error. Still talking sports, Senegal's national team has paraded the African Cup of Nations AFCON trophy in France despite being stripped of the 2025 title by the Confederation of African Football (CAF). The team continues to challenge the decision, having filed an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sports. The move underscores their refusal to accept the ruling as they prepare for upcoming international fixtures. Golf legend Tiger Woods has been released on bail after he was arrested and charged with driving under the influence following a car crash in Florida. According to reports, Woods was detained after his vehicle overturned while attempting to overtake a trailer. The 15-time major winner was said to have walked away unhurt, while the driver of the other vehicle involved in the incident also sustained no injuries. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. Professor Nintawe Ilwatala has been returned as the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC, while Surajuddin Bashiru emerged as the party's national secretary. In business, a young entrepreneur in Owerri is breaking gender stereotypes, turning a pandemic setback into a story of resilience and business success. On the foreign scene, we brought to you that United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio says reopening the Strait of Hormuz is in the interest of all G7 nations, marking President Trump's Gulf decision as global beneficial. In sports, you heard that Iran's national team has paid tribute to victims of a deadly school strike that killed over 170 people wearing black armbands before their friendly match against Nigeria, as reports suggest the attack may have been resulted from the United States targeting error during the early days of the conflict. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using a Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim. Say a very big thank you for watching.